Welcome back to the worst channel on all of YouTube. I'm DipperGames420 and today we're going to be taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. This was a figure that I honestly didn't expect to release at all at the time of his announcement anyway. Namely because Tamashii took their sweet time announcing another GT release, which made me personally think that it was a one and done thing with Goku. But nope, here we are. And Vegeta is sitting right in front of us. He was announced May of 2022 and came out in November in Japan anyway. But for a $60 to $65 retail price, let's see if Vegeta is worth being added to your collection. Starting off with the box, really the only thing to note here is that the design for the box has changed. For some strange reason, Tamashii has decided to stop printing the cardboard insert behind the figure and is now painting the boxes. That is a really strange choice, but nonetheless, here is Vegeta's box. It's basically the same as what you've come to expect at this point. Designed by Tamashii Nations in Japan, Bandai Spirits made in Vietnam. S.H.Figuarts Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta on the window and a picture of him, as well as some pictures of him on the side, his face and his foot, as well as some pictures of him on the back and some blurbs. This time we have a slightly obstructed hint at Android 15 in the near future, as well as the Bandai Namco distribution logo, because Bluefin is no longer distributing these figures. Thank God. And you also have his name reiterated again, and his face once more. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta on the side, and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta again. And up top, you have his face once more. So, that said, let's get Vegeta out of the box. So here is the king of monke out of the box. And let's move into some size comparisons here. Here he is next to Victor Chaz and the Chinese, probably not Scottish, Triclops.
They got more and they got the likes of me.
Dad of boy. Lastly, Mr. Holy Grail, and taking a look at Vegeta's paint and sculpt, and fortunately there is some here that is actually better than Goku, but in some cases there's still some issues. The face is definitely an improvement over the stern face that Goku had. It seems to be printed a little better on my copy this time around. His eyes still seem a little out of whack, I guess. Seems weird to not have his pupils evenly aligned, but nonetheless, it still looks fine. The hair is a very, very dark, sort of chocolate brown kind of color. Looks very nice. It's accurate to the source material, so that's cool. His body is a slightly different sculpt than Goku. You can see where he has a little more skin showing. The fur itself, much like Goku, is detailed quite nicely all throughout his body. Also has a tail, much like Goku. I have looked at the tails side by side, and I'm not sure if they are different sculpts. They could be, but this is Tamashii, and they probably just scaled Goku's down for Vegeta. As for his body proportions, they actually got them down well. He is smaller and slightly less bulky than Goku, which I believe that's accurate to GT. His pants are nicely sculpted. They are dark, so I'm going to try to offset that a little bit with my hand here. So as you can see, they are detailed quite nicely. This sticks out like a sore thumb up close. This obnoxious way they cut the thigh. Another common Tamashii W here. I do not like how they cut the thigh for the joint. It is... I sort of understand why they did it, probably to give it more clearance, but this should have been a lot more narrow to sort of sit flush with the joint. His boots are nicely detailed. The soles, as they were with Goku, are inaccurate, and to a slightly more inaccurate extent this time, as they're supposed to be white on the bottom, not purple, and there is a pattern on the bottom of his shoe, but much like Goku, that's not too much of a loss. So ultimately, there's a mixture of good and bad here. It looks really, really nice, don't get me wrong. There's a couple issues here and there that stick out like a sore thumb to a spurg like me. So here is everything Vegeta comes with. And it's an alright array of accessories. The faces are pretty nicely done. I feel like the eyes are a bit squinty for some reason. But you do get a smirking face, a gritted teeth face, and a yelling face. All of them are done decently enough. As you can see, you do get a pretty solid selection of hands here. You get, for some bizarre reason, his final impact or atomic blast hands, some big bang attack or karate chopping hands, open palm ki blast, final flash, and final shine hands. Why I say final shine hands is because you get an additional pair of hands with a peg in them, and that attaches to the world's smallest and frankly most pathetic blast effect. So that aside, let's take a look at Vegeta's articulation. So by this point you're probably expecting Vegeta to be as dysfunctional as Goku was as far as the articulation goes, and I'm happy to confirm that for the most part he isn't. Much like Goku, Vegeta's hair has these ball hinges in him that allow him to move, and fortunately Vegeta's head is not as loose as Goku's, so you don't have to worry about it flopping around. Fortunately, he can't quite look up too far because of the design of his hair. Can't quite look down too great either. Side to side is limited, but you do get the swivel, so that's good, I guess. Front pieces are articulated once again. The shoulder is a little tight, but it moves around nicely, and much like Goku, can cross his chest quite well. Full 360 out of the bicep. Tight double joint at the elbow, and a wrist pivot and swivel. I will warn you, I have heard reports of this piece right here, the hinge splitting in half. I've had it happen on a couple of my figures. I've had my Saiyan raised on Earth have that happen, so do be careful when switching the hands out. As far as the ab articulation goes, I'm also happy to say that Vegeta does something strangely different here, in that his lower waist is made out of a slightly more rubbery material, which can actually help him lean really far forward, decently far back, side to side pretty well, and he gets some rotation, but it is cut off by the pelvis. As for the legs, he can kick forward pretty far, out to the side pretty far, and has the added bonus of a loose hip joint. So that's lovely. And on this side, it's the kicking out that's loose, and once again he has a very, very nice backward kick that is so impressive you can't see it. Ball hinge on the tail here, which works pretty well. It's a little tighter than Goku, but it works well for the most part. Double joint at the knee looks a little strange, but it works. And you have a miscolored ball hinge at the ankle. No idea why it's purple, because you can see the little wrap there. It should be yellow, but it works, and you get some really, really good ankle rocker out of it, so that's nice. Toe hinge is loose and pretty ugly, so I don't use it too often, but it works. Also, one more QC issue before we sign up, before we move on to my final thoughts here, just because. Thank you, Tamashi Nations. So does the king of monkey surpass the low-class monkey? In a lot of ways, he absolutely does. The articulation, while it is a little iffy in spots and doesn't quite work as well as I'd like it to, is much more functional than Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He can pose much better, and generally I don't have as many issues trying to pose him as I did with Goku, so that's nice. He also comes with a pretty good array of accessories. Like I said, I feel like the blast effect was pitiful, but at the end of the day, what do I think of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta? He's really good. To be honest, I was not expecting him to be this good, but yeah, he was really, really nice. Again, everything that functions works really well. The accessories are nice. He looks really good, aside from some minor issues here and there. So overall, yeah. If you are a Vegeta fan or a Dragon Ball GT fan, figure collector, what have you, get him. Get him while you still can, because I don't know if Tamashii will be as lenient with him as some other figures with reissues. But that about does it for this video. This has been Dipper Games 420, the worst channel on all of YouTube. Signing off.